on this in this series of Twilight 2000, where we are going to cover hostile waters. Well, not the entire thing, just the water combat rules for hostile waters. An expansion for Twilight 2000. And if you remember, Twilight 2000 itself, it had like one paragraph in there that said, "Hey, we hope to cover water combat sometime in the future." Well, they did, and it's here, hostile waters. So let's take a look at how to drive. Yes, that's right. I'm saying drive your PT boat in the swamp. Your air. What are those little hovercrafts, whatever they called in Florida that they use?
Oh, the fan boats.
Yeah, there you go. To how to drive your fan boat through the Okefenokee and find the enemy and hopefully not get mined, as we talked about in the last one. So here we go. There we. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to donate to Legion Myth, please do so. Through talking is just something. Apparently, I got to stop streaming because I haven't been able to talk for 2 months now. But that Heathen Dog has put on the screen there, or you find in the description below. All right, so go back to our standard fare here, where we're going to look at naval warfare. There you go. There's our seas that we like, right? That looks fun.
It looks cool. I mean, it looks like a Coast Guard commercial. Okay.
Now water mines. It looks cooler than any of the military commercials that have come out in like the last 5 years.
Fair.
We covered that. On one of the old Friday Night Chill streams, we covered it was UK, Australia, America, and China military commercials. And when I was done, I was like, Chinese military, here I come. Yeah, let's be a man. Because all the other ones were really ridiculous. So hopefully we change that soon, but moving on. Water combat. The section outlines additions and modifications to the combat rules in the player's manual for combat in and on water, which again, unless we completely missed it, there were none. It was just that one paragraph. Unless explicitly stated below, the normal combat rules apply. Makes sense. Deep water terrain. Hostile waters adds deep waters as a combat terrain type. It has the same effects as shallows, except that swimming or moving with a boat are the only possible means of movement. On the battle map, it is designated by the darker blue color. Darker blue. Scary blue. As stated in the player's manual, all characters are assumed to know how to swim. Don't know why, but okay, we'll go with it. Makes life simple. Movement when swimming in deep water counts as crawling. You can only move 1 hex per fast action, and the mobility roll can only increase the movement by 1 hex, no matter how many you roll. As somebody who used to swim 3 days a week, I was never a good swimmer. I just did it for exercise. Okay. I'm with you on this. Carrying a backpack, also, you should pretty much run out of energy after 1 extra hex.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
There's a lot of energy that goes in swimming, but carrying a backpack is a -2 modifier because you're dumb. To the mobility.
I've never swam with a backpack, but I had to swim with boots on once. I almost didn't make it. Yep. Just with boots, that's tough. I can't imagine a backpack.
And your stance has no effect in water, because if you go prone, if you're prone, you're that way swimming, right? And if you're not prone, you're probably treading water. Just saying. Drowning. In rough seas, or if you're stuck in water for a long time, you need to make a mobility roll to stay afloat. The referee determines how often these rolls are made: every round, stretch, or shift. If you sink or intentionally swim underwater, you need to make a stamina roll every round to hold your breath. If you fail, you start to drown and suffer 1 point of damage every round. By the way, that rule that I'm reading here is common across so many games. Reading this to me is like reading every other game.
But immediately,
if you fail,
how long is the round?
Well, round is 5 to 10 seconds, but it's only saying if you fail. You need to make a stamina
check every round, and if you fail, you just accidentally started breathing? You got water in your lungs? I don't understand.
Okay, my assumption is this, because again, and I'm not going to do this in my book either, and if you want to pick it apart, go for it. I don't care because it's dumb. The assumption is you're doing this in combat, or you're doing this under duress. You're not just like, I'm going to go underwater and see how long I can hold my breath. So in combat, I don't actually have a problem with this. Under duress, I don't have a problem with this. Because even swimming 3 days a week, sometimes when things would happen, I'd get somebody in the lane with me. He'd hit me with his foot or some crap like that. It just, the weird natural reaction is to take a breath. And yes, I stop myself almost every time, but there'd be times I'd be, hold on, okay, let's get back into, get forward, get my stroke going, whatever else. So I can understand on a simplistic sense this rule. If you're using it because somebody just decides they want to jump in the water, I'm going to jump in the water and I'm going to dog paddle and I'm going to swim. I'm going to do the backstroke. Oh, I'm going to go underwater, see if I can touch the bottom, make a roll. You're probably being a douche nozzle. There's a caveat to that. And I don't know if the rules for this are in the book. I wonder if there are rules in here for riptides. Riptides are a thing. Anybody who swam in any big river, I don't know about the big lakes. I never got out far enough in a big lake to do it. But certainly the ocean, riptides are a thing.
And they will kill you.
And they will kill you. And they'll definitely take you farther. If you get into a riptide, don't fight it. Just let it not let it. Swim towards shore, but don't try to get to the beach. Just try to get to the edge. Otherwise, you're going to be swimming for an hour and you're going to die. Anyway. But back to anything else on this, or?
No, go ahead.
Okay. If you're incapacitated when drowning, you must make a death save every round until you die or are saved by being brought to the surface and having someone else make a successful medical aid roll. So you want your lifeguard there for you.
Did someone kiss me?
Another danger in water is the cold. Water, well, that's just because these weirdos are from Sweden and Poland. Water will drain the heat. I mean, down here, I don't think water knows how to get cold. I'm just saying.
Not like that. No, not unless you're in the ocean.
Yeah, right.
Well,
True.
no, the Atlantic and the Pacific. If you're in the Gulf, you're like, what? It's bathwater.
Yeah, right. Water will drain the heat from your body much faster than air. In water, unless equipped with a full dry suit, you must roll for stamina at regular intervals. Every stretch in cold water, every shift in warm water. Wetsuits and similar, there is some truth to that. Wetsuits and similar gear. By the way, I'm not Navy at all. I don't know. I'm just basing that on my swimming time. We'll give a bonus to the roll. So if you're wearing a wetsuit, you get a bonus. If you fail, you become hypothermic. Okay. Fighting in water is dumb. How can I lose all my energy as fast as possible? Let's wrestle in the water. Don't do it. Just get out of the water, unless you have to. When swimming in deep water, close combat is handled normally, but with the following changes. Stance is no effect, okay? Diving blows and shoving are not possible. What, can I splash him?
now you look like a couple of kids in a pool having a splash fight. That's right. All you are.
Attacks using melee weapons that need to be swung, clubs, axes, get a -2 modifier. Grappling can be done normally, and grapple attack has additional effect of forcing the victim to make a stamina roll to avoid drowning. Why? Because chances are, the assumption is that you're grappling and you're like, get down.
Yeah, you're using your enemy as a flotation device. The problem is the flotation device is usually underwater at that point.
Unless specified otherwise, it is not possible to make ranged attacks while swimming in deep water. Ranged attacks against a swimming target are at a -1 modifier, just like against a prone target on land. I know a lot of people are going to argue about that. If you see what happens to bullets in water, yes. Yeah,
we've all seen that Mythbusters episode. We all understand. Bullets just veer off and break apart after anywhere between 6 inches and 1.5 feet or 2 feet in water.
I've heard of them killing people at 3 feet, but not much further.
Well, it depends on the kind of bullet you're using.
Sure.
But yeah, we're not doing that here. It's too much.
All right, now we get to the boats. Most combat on water will be using boats. You will find a selection of civilian and military watercraft on pages 20 to 29. We might look at one or two, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Again, equipment is just one of those things that isn't the focus of these overviews, but maybe we'll show you something. Boats use the vehicle combat rules in the player's manual with some modifications. The driving skills used to steer a boat with the bonus for the boatman's specialty. So if you're playing a naval campaign, you may want this right there. If you're playing, I keep going back to the Vietnam thing because I have all those movies stuck in my head where you're on the PT boat, checking out the shore, and that's going to be kind of the crux of your campaign. You might want to have somebody with the boatman specialty. You find a number of modular battle maps for water combat in this box set. Yeah, I have mine behind me. If you really need to see them, maybe some other time. Both for rivers, coastlines, and open water, along with tokens for a variety of boats. Most boats can only move on hexes with the deep water or shallow waters terrain type. Remember, the center dotted text hex determines the terrain type. Boats make no distinction between on-road and off-road and only have a single movement rate. I get why it's in there. You're laughing. I'm laughing.
It's funny. Yeah.
It is funny. But somebody's going to do it. Amphibious vessels. Vessels designated as amphibious can travel on land as well as on deep water, using its off-road combat speed. Okay. Vessels designated as landing craft are handled as normal boats, but give a +3 modifier to driving rolls for making an amphibious landing. +3 modifier for making an amphibious landing. Okay. Well, we'll have to see what those amphibious landing rules. So, they're called landing craft for a reason, so I guess that makes sense. Okay, yeah. That is not a landing craft.
They're made to do that.
Yeah. Kind of looks like this is even small for a destroyer, don't you think? It's way small for a destroyer. But it's designed like a destroyer. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Some boats described in this latter chapter are so large that they use tokens that cover 2 or more hexes in length. The size rating of the boat indicates the number of hexes occupied by it. No boats covered in this expansion are more than 1 hex wide. So, might be long, but you know what? I guess you're not getting an aircraft carrier. Oh. Any boat of size 2 or more is considered large. Only 1 large boat can ever occupy the same hex. I hope, if it takes 2 hexes itself, I hope it's the only one that can fit in a hex. If any part of a large boat is about to enter a hex occupied by another large boat, a collision occurs, and no movement happens. Any number of size 1 boats can occupy the same hex, even a hex with a large boat in it. I get, again, simplicity. I'd probably limit it to at some point, but yeah, okay. For simplicity's sake, I get it. Turning. When a large boat changes facing, it can turn its bow hex or its aft hex. It's a free choice by the driver. It can turn around its bow hex or its aft. Okay. Furthermore, changing facing with a large boat is not free. Instead, each 60-degree turn costs a number of hexes of movement equal to the size of the boat -1. Okay, so if it's a size 2 boat, and you're turning 1 hex facing, because that's 60 degrees, it's going to cost you 1 movement point. That's fair. Considering the other stuff is none, and I kind of think some of them should cost movement points, I think that's fair. So, for example, making a 60-degree... Oh, well, never mind. I got an example right here. For example, making a 60-degree turn with a size 4 boat requires 3 hexes of movement. If the combat speed of a large vessel is too low to even make a single 60-degree turn in 1 move, 1 such turn can still be made, but as a slow action instead of a fast action. Does that matter for a boat? If it's a slower or fast action?
It might. I mean, the whole boat turning thing is important in combat. It's very important.
Yeah.
Now, did they make it overly complicated? I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's just as complicated to reflect the tactical aspect of it. Like for example, when you were speaking about you can move the front of the boat or the back of the boat in a turn. It's kind of like this. Mm-hmm. You choose your pivot point. The front of the boat, you can turn this way, or you choose your pivot point as a back, and you can turn this way. But you can't go like that. I understand that because boats don't turn that way. And this whole the bigger the boat, the harder it is to turn it. Again, that makes sense. I get it. And for this kind of game, I respect it.
Yeah, it also depends on what kind of combat you're doing. Remember, this is supposed to be year 2000 combat, but in a rundown kind of dystopian sense. So I don't, personally, when I think of naval battles, I don't think of broadside fights anymore. I think those kind of went away. Even with World War II, there weren't a lot of broadside fights.
No, after definitely after World War II, it became long, like naval combat was super long range.
Yeah, it was aircraft and missiles and
yeah, and you were fighting 15, 20, 30 miles away. So yeah.
But with that said, hey, in this game, especially with smaller boats, like the one that they showed up here. Oh, hey, get on the screen. Like the one shown right there that only is about what, 20 feet across? Yeah, okay,
Maybe
yeah.
less. But yeah, you'd have to get closer with those boats. Yeah.
All right, line of sight. A large boat, size 2 or more, breaks line of sight unless the attacker or target is on elevated terrain. Use the entire combat token for the boat to determine if the line of sight is blocked. I don't know if it'll get into it, but that'll be a great reason to have a crow's nest up here somewhere, right? Of course, you're going to be target number 1.
You'll be a target.
Excuse me. Careening. When steering a boat, you can make a driving roll to move additional hexes, just like on land. Oh, here we go. But if the roll fails, the boat is not stuck. How do you get stuck in water? Well, okay, you know what? Never mind. How do you get stuck in deep water? There we go. Instead, it careens a number of hexes equal to its combat movement rate in a random direction. Random. See the adjacent graphic. If a boat that careens first changes facing to the new direction, a large boat that careens first changes it facing to the new direction. Oh, it's actually going to change its facing. Interesting. The turn needed to do so does not consume any movement. So you're just forced into that new direction.
Mm-hmm.
If a careening boat moves into a partial land hex, even if the center dot is on water, it immediately runs aground. Oh, you're a beached whale. If a boat starts its careening move in such a hex, it immediately runs aground. Okay. So, so it's not totally random. It makes sense random.
I mean, you are going forward. If you're going forward and you careen, you're not going to like reverse time and go backward.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was thinking. It just says random direction. Like, what? But okay, no, this makes sense. Got it. Okay. Running aground. Okay, a boat can run aground several different ways. By careening into or into a partial land hex. As the result of a water travel mishap. We're not there yet. Water travel mishap. By intentionally running aground in a partial land hex as part of an amphibious landing. So that's an intentional one, yeah. More on this below. Damage. A vessel that runs aground might suffer damage. Roll a number of d6s equal to the size rating of the boat itself. So if it's a size 4 boat, you're rolling 4d6. Each success means 1 point of damage. That doesn't look like a success to me. You know what? I'm going to quibble over that, and hear me out. My quibble on that is I wish it would have been explosions, and here's why. On the dice. The ones on the dice, and here's why. I get it that targets are successes, and I get it that throughout the game, anytime you roll a 6, you're doing extra damage, you're doing whatever. But this is something that's happening negatively to the players or whoever's controlling. It could be an NPC as well. I would have preferred if they would have gone with the explosion, the 1, not the 6. I don't care, but you get what I'm saying? Like, I think for consistency's sake, the 1 always being bad and the 6 always being good would have been beneficial. But the hit has no base damage rating and the penetration limit does not apply. The damage is inflicted on the front of the boat unless it runs aground during a turn, in which case the damage is inflicted on the side in the direction of the turn. That all makes sense. If the damage penetrates the armor, don't roll for a random component damage. Instead, the damage automatically breaches the hull of the boat. Oh.
Which is worse.
It says to the right. So we're going to have that. Okay, hull. Okay, right there. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all. Where are we? Automatic breaches the hull of the boat, which we'll talk about in component damage. Getting stuck. A boat that unintentionally runs aground also gets stuck, whether it suffered damage or not. Getting a boat unstuck requires a boat of equal or higher size rating pulling it adrift.
That
get that tugboat.
Yeah, but never mind. Go ahead.
Requiring a stretch of work and a successful driving roll. Multiple attempts are allowed. Size 1 boats can be pulled or pushed loose using a strength roll with a -3 modifier, taking a stretch of work. So again, 10 to 15 minutes. Yes, I would say that you could push one out with a heavy enough vehicle depending on how big the boat. I mean, sorry, but you're not going to do that with an aircraft carrier. Okay, you just. Do they have aircraft carriers in this game? They got to.
I don't think so.
No, it's a very bad idea to pull loose a grounded boat if its hull has been breached. As soon as it's adrift, it will start sinking. The hull needs to be repaired first. Another duh moment, but I get why it's in here. Or we'll just fix it out at sea. That makes me laugh. When a boat is intentionally run ashore, the driver may roll driving to reduce the damage. Each success rolled reduces the damage by 1. Also, if the roll succeeds, 1 or more sixes rolled, the boat does not get stuck. Ships designated as landing craft give a +3 modifier to the roll, so you're probably not going to get stuck unless you really hate life or life really hates you. Ramming and collisions. Ramming for boats of size 1 is handled per the rules on page 86 of the player's manual. For boats of size 2 or more, a collision automatically occurs if a move would bring 2 such boats into the same hex, and no movement happens because you're doing that and not doing that. Each boat suffers damage equal to the size rating of the other boat modified by armor.
Makes sense. Bigger boat does more damage to smaller boat. Get it?
Hey, you notice it doesn't just say front armor?
Yeah.
If the moving boat is intentionally ramming the other, for example, it's not careening into it, the driver may make a driving roll, not counting as an action beyond the movement itself. Each success rolled increases the damage inflicted on the target by 1. Okay. So not only do you have size, but you have intent, and that intent means you're angling that ram more to your favor. Or, yeah, I mean, even it's like, if I go head on this guy, that's going to be bad for my snout there. Yeah, I said snout, deal with it. My dragon head, so I want to turn at the last second and get a better ram into him, kind of careen into him, so to speak. Since you're in control of the ramming action, you're going to get the benefit.
Actually, you're not allowed to careen into it. It says so.
Well, by rules, yeah, okay, but that's the term that it would still be when you're sliding into.
You can explain it all you want. Like when the captain says ramming speed, you're the other boat's in for a bad day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Each success increases damage inflicted target by 1. The target on the attacking boat is not affected. The damage on the attacking boat is not affected. So
yeah, I mean ramming. Yeah, you may do more damage, but they're still going to do damage to you because you hit
Correct.
boats together.
Now, so where this is beneficial is if you're, say, one size smaller and you really want to take the risk, or you're the same size. Well, I mean, obviously, if you're bigger, but still, I mean, that's just obvious. Suppression. Occupants of a boat that is penetrated by an attack must make an immediate coolness under fire roll, just like for land vehicles. However, if the roll fails, they can choose to bail out or to stay on board and be suppressed per the normal rules in the player's manual. Can I stay here and just hunker down? Well, you can. I mean, what's the other option? Jump into the water and have them pick you off? I mean, you could theoretically maybe get away. So I could see a reason. I'm not saying it's the right answer, but I'm just saying I could see a reason why you might want to just hunker down. Go down fighting or something. Boats, okay, here we go. Component damage. Boats suffer component damage just like land vehicles, but use the table on the next page to determine which component is hit. Get your dice ready, Heathen Dog. I don't remember what dice here. What dice will it be? It'll be D10.
D10? Okay.
Oops, I just zoomed out of the wrong thing. Back to there. All right. Components are damaged the same way with land vehicles. Okay, differences listed below. Hull. A direct hit, not secondary damage, means that the hull is breached below the water line and the boat begins to sink. Roll a d6 at the start of each round and note every failure, every boom boom rolled. Once the number of boom booms rolled equals the size rating of the boat, or after one stretch has passed, so 10 to 15 minutes, the boat sinks and is lost. So at most, you're going to get 10 to 15 minutes before it goes down. How long did it take the Titanic to go down? Everyone on board will find himself swimming. Yeah, well, if the hull is breached multiple times, note the number of breaches and roll d6 for each breach every round. So if you don't roll those ones, let's say it's a size 3 ship boat, right? You have a 50% chance basically of getting a 1 on there. If you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So every other round, so every 5 to 10 seconds, so every, I guess, 10 to 20 seconds, how you want to look at your ship is going to go down by 1. So you've probably got a minute or so on a decent sized ship, if not more, to find your whiskey and get off the ship. Hull is breached multiple times. Okay, unless it's breached multiple times, of course. If the hull is hit as a result of secondary damage, so for example, another component lower in the table was hit first, the hull is only breached if the remaining damage exceeds the armor level of the boat. Okay, I get that. So if it's direct damage, that means your hull has been destroyed, right? But when you roll, if you remember how you roll component damage, let's say he rolled a 10. Well, if 10 has already been destroyed, we move it up to a 9, and 8 is, and so forth until we get to whatever, in this case, hull happens to be. So because that hit didn't actually affect the hull, it takes the armor off the hull. Hold on, let me make sure I read that right. If the remaining damage, okay, so if he did 4 points of damage on my 3 hull ship, then it breaches the hull. But if it does 2 damage on my 3 hull ship, it does not, because it has to exceed the armor level of the boat. Hopefully that made sense. Use the armor level on the opposite side of the attacker, rear armor if the attack was from the front, and vice versa. Why, I don't know. Let's just move on. Any extra damage left after the hull has been...
Because you hit something that didn't exist. So that's the hull that could kill you. The other side.
I mean, I can argue about, great, then let's take down the back hull and then let's ram the front. I mean, but whatever. I mean, that's getting really into the numbers of the game and not actually, they got to pick something. I get it. I don't have a problem with it. I just thought it was odd. Any extra damage left after the hull has been breached is forfeit and does not continue to hit another component. The only way to stop a boat with a breached hull from sinking is to run it aground. To repair a hull breach requires tools, a shift to work, and a tech roll. Doesn't require any scrap.
There's a lot of Navy damage control people who would disagree with that.
Yeah, the other thing that I would say, well, I guess it's repair. I'd say it requires scrap too, but whatever. Engine. On a boat, any remaining damage after the engine is completely disabled will continue as secondary damage to hit the hull.
Sure.
I don't know why that. Okay, whatever. So mast and rigging. Each point of damage reduces the reliability rating of the boat by 1. If it's reduced to 0, the mast and rigging are disabled and the boat is rendered inoperable. Note that only sailboats have mast and rigging. So if you're out on your joyride, or you decided to go in with a 1400s galleon, and you wanted to join the war, okay, there you go. Go ahead and roll your D10. Let's see what component we take out on Heathen Dog's boat.
All right. 1.
The hull.
Awesome.
Or if it didn't penetrate, we took out a weapon.
Oh.
If it was 10, we have a ricochet. Boing! I got to make that noise with it, too. Got to make that 1970s cowboy movie. Pew!
There you go.
Repairs and boat parts. Hostile Waters introduces a new type of spare part, the boat part. Why? Okay, whatever.
Come on, man.
Needed
There's
for repairing
boats.
That. I know there are already 4 types. You definitely didn't need another one, but okay.
Yeah,
boat spare part is different from a vehicle spare part, which as from now can only be used on land vehicles. I disagree with this rule. I would remove it from the game instantly. Yeah. I understand it.
Vehicle part is a vehicle part. I don't know what type.
Yeah. It's already overly simplistic by just saying vehicle part, general part, electronic, but just leave it at that. Okay. I mean, you do you at your table. I understand what they're doing here, but I think now it's like they're just trying to dive into the weeds, but the game isn't meant for that. That's my take anyway. Scavenging parts from a boat yields a boat spare parts. Okay. We'll skip the example. But we will look at the map. Just so
there you go. You got deep water in the middle, shallows along the sides of the shore. That's nice.
Mm-hmm. And the Viet Cong shooting you from these trees.
Yep. Okay.
Uh-oh. Dude's coming up from behind.
Cover.
And I'm sure it explains all these rounds up here. We're just not going to do it. I just want people to see the maps. So, all right, naval weapon. Oh, here we go. Got some bridges. Somebody's hunkered down in the front of the ship. Okay, cool. Naval weapons, anti-ship missiles, or ASHMs, can only be used against large targets, not individuals on the ground or on water. Rules-wise, an anti-ship missile is handled similarly to an anti-tank guided missile of the fire and forget variety, which you can look at page 72, Player's Manual. It hits the round after it is launched on the turn of the person who launched it. Okay. Surface-to-air missiles can only be used against aircraft. These are rare in the year 2000, but some are still operational, like the helicopter in urban operations. A SAM is handled similarly to an anti-ship missile. It hits the round after its launch on the turn of the person who launched it. However, unlike the anti-ship missile, an aircraft targeted by the SAM can evade the hit if the pilot is aware of attack and makes a driving roll with a -3 modifier before the missile strikes. This maneuver is a slow action. Defensive countermeasures can give a bonus to the roll. Okay, I was waiting for that. I was like, what about chaff and flare and so forth? Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
They have that. Okay, good.
Torpedoes. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Torpedoes can only be used against watercraft.
Thank you.
Fair enough. And the Loch Ness Monster.
Yes. Watercraft and fictional monsters. Yes.
Torpedoes handled similarly to an anti-tank guided missile of the fire and forget variety. Hits around after its launch on the turn of the person who launched it. Okay, again, for game ease, cool, no issues whatsoever. But torpedoes
are much slower than missiles. But okay, fine. Sure.
I mean, I actually like the idea that for suspense factor, it takes longer, but but at the same time, it's a game. We got to get it moving. I understand. However, unlike I already forgot ATGM is air to ground missile. The watercraft targeted by a torpedo can evade the hit if the helmsman is aware of attack, makes a driving roll with a -3 modifier before the torpedo strikes. Okay, so that's to represent the it takes a moment for it to get there, and it's coming in and start doing stuff that turn, make it miss. The maneuver is a slow action, very, very slow action. All right, mines,
water mines. Oh man,
I know. And guess what? We talked about mines in the last video, so we probably don't remember anything we said. Contact mines have the appearance of a spiked ball. The spikes being so-called Hertz horns that detonate the mine when coming into contact with the boat. Contact mines are typically moored just under the surface to avoid detection. The depths of the mooring can be set to allow ships of a certain size, rating, or smaller to pass unaffected. Or if it's in the ocean, to say, come in at high tide. Don't be here at low tide. Bottom mines are placed at the bottom and are detonated by electronic sensors. They can also be set to allow ships of a certain size, rating, or smaller to pass unaffected. Bottom mines are usually more expensive and more powerful than contact mines. Makes sense?
Sure.
I don't know enough about naval mines to quibble, so. Mined waters. Contact mines and bottom mines are placed in hexes like anti-tank mines on land. Great. So, look, it says player's manual, but I'm going to say you're going to want the Black Madonna if you're going to be doing a lot of this stuff. Only deep water hexes can be mined, not shallows. And only in river not shallows, and only in river coastline hexes on the travel map, not open sea. So there's kind of like this. It's got to be deep, but not too deep.
Right. Because these things are either attached to the bottom, and if it's too deep, it's not going to detect anything, or they have to be anchored to the bottom, and if it's too deep, you don't have a tether long enough.
Yeah.
So I get it.
And let's be honest, the explosive effect, and I do know about pressure and how water itself is part of the pressure, yada, yada. But if it's too far down, by the time it gets up to the ship, it's just going to be a wave. Sir, something rocked the boat. Okay, go back to bed. Spotting contact mine can be done with a passive recon roll, just like a landmine, while bottom mines cannot be spotted without specialized equipment. Driving into a mine hex unawares will automatically trigger the mine. Limpet mines are magnetic and placed manually on the metal hull of a boat. They are typically triggered by a time fuse. How do you get them on the boat?
Hey, that's why they made commandos.
As you say, you just swim out there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You get a tank, you get a Navy SEAL, he goes under the water the entire time, blip, swims away, big boom.
Okay. Damage. If the damage from a mine penetrates the armor of a boat, it'll automatically trigger the hull component damage. Kind of makes sense. That's what they're there for. All occupants of the boat suffer explosive damage. If the damage does not penetrate the hull, it has no effect at all. So it's an all or none proposition. Either you make the boat go boom boom, or nothing happens at all. All right, water travel. How much? Okay, watercraft. We're not going to look too much at the craft. I just want to see how much is left. Okay, it looks like water travel is the last real section here. Terrain types. Hostile Waters replaces the lake river terrain type with 2 new water types, river coastline and open sea. See the adjacent table. All right, we'll do. River coastline is used for any hex with both water and land in it, disregarding the center dot. While open sea is used for water hexes only. Boats can never enter all land hexes, but amphibious vehicles can. Again, very dumb sentence, but I know why it exists. Doesn't say it can't enter land. Land travelers can cross waterways and river coastline hexes, but never enter an open sea hex. There isn't a long bridge. Boats can travel through river coastline hexes with no regard for the land terrain of the hex. Fully amphibious vehicles in such hexes can choose whether to use the river coastline terrain type or the relevant. Okay, I get it. So you can either be on the water or you can be on the land. That makes sense.
But not both.
Terrain types. And you can go back to our traveling video. I think that was last week to put those numbers and add that to the table that we had there. So if you got a fishing boat, or is that if you're fishing?
I think it's a fishing boat.
Well, it says terrain.
Oh, terrain is fishing. How? What?
Hopefully it says it here. Yeah, because at first I was like, okay, fishing boat. Then it's like, but it's under terrain.
The terrain is called fishing terrain. Okay, I don't know what that is.
Maybe you're just trolling. You're just out there. You throw you cast the line. You sit back, and the boat's just trolling. Because I mean, we had trolling motors on our boats, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Moving on. Traveling by boat uses rules for driving on page 140 of the player's manual with some differences. Rolling survival for navigation is only needed if there's more than one possible hex to enter in the direction of travel. So not in river hexes. If a navigation roll fails and a roll is made to see where the boat goes, reroll any result that would have it enter in all land hex. So you're okay. At least you're not that dumb. We're lost.
Yeah. This is the whole thing. You have your GPS. You programmed it incorrectly, and it tells you to turn left, and left is the shore, right? You're not going to go, okay, I'll turn left. You're apparently not that dumb. You can't be that dumb in this game. Good on you.
I don't know if the GPS system would be working, especially the early 2000s. Yeah. I mean, I was using GPS for the military in 1994. When was I in Korea? 1994. But I wouldn't say it was great
for the military, right? I mean, that's what GPS was originally for. It. So the satellites will still be up there.
Yeah, but are they functioning? Are they kept in? I'm not saying it's impossible. I would put it in that rare category of like, good luck with the GPS. For this year, I would. Traveling at night. In a boat, traveling by night halves the travel movement speed, just like for land vehicles.
I would say except for open water, because what the hell? Who cares? Full speed. There's nothing here.
For each shift of travel, the driver makes a driving skill roll, modified by the boatman's specialty and the terrain type. If it fails, the boat suffers a mishap, just like on land. But instead, roll in the water travel mishap tables, as Heathendog already lost his gun. I don't know how, but he lost a gun. Or his hull. He can pick. Lose your hull at sea? You want to? Do it?
Oh no, I don't want that.
Okay, then he lost a gun. But instead, roll in the water table mishaps the next page. Fishing. Okay, here we go. Fishing is handled per the rules of page 147 of the player's manual, but the survival roll is also modified for the terrain type. Is that what this is?
That didn't explain anything. Is apparently a terrain.
Let's encounter this. Yeah, okay. Making camp. As a general rule, there's no need to make camp when traveling on a large boat. It is its own camp. Such boats are assumed to have cabins for the crew and passengers. There may be exceptions for this on specific boats. Other tasks, scrounging, foraging, and hunting are not possible while traveling on a boat, but you can fish.
You can fish. I think that's called foraging.
Oh, roll,
or maybe hunting.
roll
Technically
2d6. We have a new.
Oh, okay.
We have a new. You failed your driving roll because you're not a boatswain.
I'm in the middle of nowhere. I failed my driving, and something happened. What did it do? 4 and 4.
8. So 8 is minor leak. Get the buckets out. The reliability of the boat is reduced by 1. If this makes reliability hit 0, see result 12. Okay. Major leak. The boat takes in lots of water and cannot continue. Its reliability rate is reduced to 0.
I failed a driving roll. I apparently didn't hit anything, but because I suck at turning the wheel, I caused a leak.
Well, you hit a sandbar you were trying to avoid, and I don't know. The boat sinks after one stretch unless a tech roll is made to seal the leak. See, you were trying to avoid the whale, but it decided, no, screw you. I don't know.
The whale's like, I don't want to live. I want to be rammed by a dirty pink-skinned human. Nerd.
And then we have a bunch of watercraft. But look at this. There are a lot of watercraft in here. So there you go. That's actually good.
Biggest one.
I'm glad.
Look at the biggest one. Look at the biggest one. Yeah.
Well, there's a tugboat that's size 3.
No.
Size 2. Ooh, military. That's only size 2. Size 5. Okay, we got a patrol ship. But, size 4. Soviet. Okay, Soviets like to make big stuff. Come on, show me. Size 5. We got a size 5.
Oh, that looks big.
Polish. Size 3, 2. Swedish. It's going to be IKEA, so it's not going to be big. NATO. Another size 5. You want to do the Soviet one or?
Sure, yeah, do the Soviet one.
See how broken it is? That's size 4. That looks big, but it's not. This one's size 5. This is a big one.
Okay.
Svietyak. I wish, believe it or not, I could read that better in Cyrillic letters than I can in English letters. Svietyak class patrol boat, also known as Project 10410.
Great.
Okay.
Horrible naming scheme, but okay.
It sounds so Soviet, dude. I'm telling you. A patrol boat's designed and built by the Soviet Navy. These boats carry out patrol missions and protect facilities from enemy surface and air attacks. They have steel hulls with aluminum superstructure. The Svietyak boats have gas protection and can stay afloat with 2 compartments flooded. The boat mounts an MR 212/201-1 Vegach U navigation radar. Again, I would do so much better if it was actually in Cyrillic letters. MG7 bracelet, anti-saboteur sonar, MG349M Rossi K sonar, and Khrum IFF and Slyabing. Okay. Electronic countermeasures suite. Several have been spotted along the Polish coast and in the Black Sea. Possibly inserting clandestine Spetsnaz or KGB teams. Oh, the Spetsnaz still exists? Okay, cool. So its reliability is 5, its size is 5, its combat speed is 3, travel speed is 4. Zoom. Armor is 3. Wow, I would have thought it would have had more armor.
It's Soviet.
So
they're not
mashing into it is a bad day. So if you have one and I have one and we mash into each other, it's a bad day for yes.
Yeah, for everybody involved.
Diesel fuel of 75,000. Fuel consumption is 250. What is that? Is that per how often is that again? I forget how often the fuel consumption is.
I think it's a stretch, but I'm not sure. Or a shift. No, it's a shift. It's a shift.
Is it a shift? Okay.
I think it's a shift.
I forget. 28 plus 14. Cargo is 2,500. There you go. You can have some scrap there. Some boat scrap now. Main weapon is stuff we'd have to look up. 250,000 for this bad boy.
That's it.
I mean,
250,000 bullets for a whole combat boat.
250,000 bullets. Well, good luck finding 250,000 bullets. But I mean, it is Soviet.
Yeah, fair. It's probably not worth 250,000 bullets.
And all our Russian viewers just stopped watching. Oh well.
All of 0.
Swedish. Okay. Price 150,000, 100,000. Yeah, they 500,000.
Oh wow. Armor
Well,
4. It's got better armor than the Russian thing.
Okay, but it's still missing screws. And it's a pressboard ship. All right. We're done. Yep, we're done.
Okay.
We're definitely done. There he is,
All right.
waving goodbye to his girlfriend. Bye, baby.
Bye, baby.
I miss you
Boom!
already.
Oh, water mine. Oh. All right.
All right. So what do we have for comments?
Here. We got Chris saying, you run it aground to stop it from sinking and maybe make repairs. Yes, that is, since there's there's really no realistic damage control for boats of a larger size. The only way to stop it from sinking is to run it aground on purpose. You run it aground on purpose, then you can't sink anymore. And then you can repair the hull. That's pretty much your only option, or to just let it go down, because it will eventually go down. The longest is what, a stretch, 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to go down. Even if every single roll comes up your way, it's still going to go down in 10 to 15 minutes. You got that long to get it to shore. That's your shot.
Yep.
And Flatey was saying the whole Timlet or whatever it was called, mine, where it was put on by the commando, says you can also float it to the boat, but that's highly, unreliable.
I don't know. I might be okay with that. Like, get away from me. I don't trust when you're going to go boom. I'm out. But yeah,
highly unreliable. So, unless you have it attached to an RC boat and you could remote control it.
If you want to know how ignorant I am about Navy stuff, I didn't even know limpet mines were real. I'd only heard that in Star Trek.
Oh, really? Okay.
Or was it Star Trek or Star Wars, where it's like they had to be careful because they'd find the ship and they're just magnetically going to. It's one of those, yeah.
But that is about it.
So for Kokushuko, he says Cyrillic letters. I had no idea his name for Russian letters. Yeah, it's one of the things that drives me crazy about the Ukrainian war. When I don't know when this happened, but Americans keep calling Kiev. It's not Kyiv, and that's a recent thing. That's a recent change. In Russian, it's Kiev, because it looks like an E, K-E, yeah. And in the Ukrainian, they actually don't. They use what looks like an I, and it's Kiev. Either way, it's another freaking letter in there. It's not Kyiv. Stop calling it Kyiv. When did that crap start?
I didn't notice that. I mean, when I learned the name. News. Oh, really? When I was a kid and I heard it for the first time, it was always Kiev.
Yeah. Yeah, because we did it based on the Russian, because it was a Russian republic, or Soviet republic. It's Kiev or Kyiv. Either way, we're not going to probably hear the nuance there between the two. But especially, and maybe it started before them, but I noticed it while watching videos when the Ukraine war started. They keep calling it Kyiv. It's not Kyiv. It's Kiev or Kyiv, because the change is stupid. I get the change from Peking to Beijing. They literally don't call their own city Peking, okay, or Mumbai from Bombay, because they literally don't call it that. But they call it Kiev, and we're calling it Kyiv for some reason. Now stop it. That's dumb. You're an idiot. Like I said, it's a recent change. Anyway, what's up?
And that's it.
Yep. So like, subscribe, and share. There you go. This is the end of the entirety of the Twilight 2000 series. We didn't dive into, a lot of times we like to do at the end, like what we think about it and so forth. This video is kind of long as it is. I think we've expressed it throughout the time here. We've got some quibbles with it. I generally like it. If somebody I know is running a game or campaign, I would probably play in it. I think it's a good. I
still want to know what fishing terrain is.
Well, you'll have to buy the book, sir. You'll have to buy the book.
I don't know. I just read the book. I still don't know what fishing terrain is.
Well, maybe. I mean, we only went through one chapter.
Oh, fair enough.
So
there's a whole fishing terrain chapter.
I still think that if somebody were to say, "Hey, do you want to play the modern Twilight 2000 or the original?" I'd probably go for the original. But that's not hate on this game. I think it's because I have played it and I remember loving it so much. And this one, a couple of the quibbles do irk me, though I think I'd get over them. I really do. I think I'd get over them. So my biggest issue with this book, layout, and stop telling me that armor exists as a rule when it doesn't. It's in an example. That's not a rule. That's an example. Any you want to give like a 10, 30 second, whatever?
No, that's about it.
Okay. All right. So like, subscribe, share, and